Hello, and welcome back to our continuing video series on the changes Otter County is proposing to make to its shoreline management ordinance. Today we're going to be covering more specific technical requirement changes. First, controlled access lots. We currently prohibit a controlled access lot in Otter County and have done so since 1992. The state allows a controlled access lot as part of a platted subdivision. We are proposing to lift the prohibition and begin allowing controlled access lots as part of platted subdivisions. What is a controlled access lot? It's not just a lot that you can put a dock out and rent the space so someone can dock their boat. It is part of a platted subdivision in which here is a typical subdivision that you'll see in Shoreland, where you have a few riparian lots, which are lots that are along the lake, and then non-riparian lots, which are lots that are not on the lake. What a controlled access lot does is it reserves one of the riparian lots and uses that as an access lot for the people that live on the non-riparian side of the road. This allows people that don't live on the lake to dock a boat and not have to use the public access every weekend to get on the lake. So currently this is more restrictive than the state code, and we're lifting the prohibition, which would put us in line with the state code. Now, a controlled access lot means a lot used to access public waters or as a recreation area for owners of non-riparian lots within the same subdivision containing the controlled access lot. Controlled access lots are permissible if created as part of a subdivision in compliance with the following standards. 1. The lot must meet area and width requirements in Table 2 and Table 3 of the ordinance for residential lots and be suitable for the intended uses of controlled access lots as provided in Item 4 of this subpart. So it still has to be a standard size lot. A controlled access lot is allowed to have 6 watercraft to be continually docked or moored if the lot is a standard lot. If the neighborhood wants more than 6 boats, the lot size needs to be increased proportionally. There's some math that gets involved. It depends on the lake size, and the lot needs to be increased to accommodate those additional watercraft. The lot must be jointly owned by all purchasers of lots in the subdivision or by all purchasers of non-riparian lots in the subdivision who are provided riparian access. Essentially, the neighborhood must create some type of organizational structure like a homeowners association with bylaws that will dictate who can use the controlled access lot and under what conditions. Otter County did add a provision, which is sentence F here, which we would prohibit the installation of any structures or accessory structures on that controlled access lot. If somebody has a controlled access lot, the only use that's going to be allowed in Otter County would just be for the non-riparian lot owners to access the lake and dock their boats. All of these items need to be approved by the Otter County Planning Commission. Moving on to guest cottages. Just like controlled access lots, we currently prohibit guest cottages. The state allows guest cottages with special provisions. We are proposing to lift this prohibition and allow guest cottages to exist with special provisions. Now, the special provisions are the lot needs to be at least a duplex lot, which is twice the size of a standard size lot. And the guest cottage is limited in size. It can only be 700 square feet in area, and it can only be 15 feet high. So what it's doing is it's allowing a small cabin for your parents or your grandparents or your guests to sleep in when they're visiting you at the lake. But it's not a second dwelling. It's a relatively small dwelling that wouldn't be counted as a second dwelling. So looking at the graph that we've been using through this whole video series, a guest cottage is currently prohibited in Otter County, which is more restrictive than the state. We're bringing that down to state standard, and we will allow them in certain circumstances. So now I'll go over some random changes we're proposing in the Shoreland Ordinance. Currently, we give a 50% credit for impervious surface to permeable pavers. These are paving bricks that have some infiltrative properties and allows rainwater to infiltrate into the ground. Studies have shown that if these aren't maintained properly, the permeability of these pavers eventually gets sealed up by silt and other debris that might get in there, and it eventually becomes 100% impermeable. And so we're lifting this credit, and a permeable paver is going to be treated just like any other paver block, and it would be counted at 100%. Pergolas are no longer defined as a structure. Accessory structures less than or equal to 120 square feet can be 5 feet from a property line. This isn't water-oriented accessory structures. These are just accessory structures like a small shed you'd buy at Home Depot or Menards. You can be 5 feet from the lot line. And this is a big change. The definition of a dwelling unit changed to require all three need to be considered a dwelling unit. The unit has to have a kitchen, a bathroom, and a bedroom. It has to have all three to be considered a dwelling unit. So if you have a detached garage with that Fonzie apartment above it, and it only has a bedroom and a bathroom, that is not going to be considered a dwelling unit and can exist. Now, if that Fonzie apartment did have a kitchen, a bathroom, and a bedroom, then that would be considered a dwelling unit, and the county would issue a letter to the homeowner saying the county shoreline ordinance only allows one dwelling unit per lot, and that apartment above the garage would have to be altered to not have all three of these components. Variances. Minnesota Rules Chapter 6120-3900 requires a compliance inspection of the existing subsurface sewage treatment system or the septic system for variance approval. Here's the language. In considering variance requests, boards of adjustment must also consider whether existing sewage treatment systems on the properties need upgrading before additional development is approved. Traditionally, we have dealt with this after the variance has been approved and the property owner applies for a permit. But keep in mind, we approve about 80% of our variance requests. There's 20% that don't get approved or get denied. And we're missing an opportunity to scrutinize those septic systems. Remember, one of our goals at Land and Resource is to protect our water resources, groundwater included. So we're missing an opportunity to find a septic system that might be contaminating the groundwater. With the new ordinance, we will begin requiring a compliance inspection to accompany the variance application. So in order for somebody to apply for a variance, they have to get a compliance inspection on their septic system prior to applying, and that compliance inspection needs to be included in the variance application. We're also including sunset dates on variances. This is a common thing in the state where if somebody comes in for a specific project that they need a variance for, after 5 years, if the project has not been started, the variance will be nullified. We get a lot of permit requests that have variances from years past. I'm talking in the 80s or the 70s. And because we don't have a provision in our ordinance that has a sunset date on variances, we have to honor those variances, even though we've had several code changes since that variance was approved. Thank you for your time in watching these videos. Our next video will be Monday during the day, and it will be highlighting information on the public hearing on this ordinance revision Monday evening. Thank you for your time.